Today I want to talk about self-sabotage, how we might be ruining our chance for happiness or success, often without even realizing it. And if that's the case, what we can do about it. So it might be that you have a dream for a happy, fulfilled life. It might be that you have a desire to write a book or start a really awesome creative business. But for some reason, it's just not happening. And often this can be because of self-sabotage, and we don't realize that we are unconsciously undermining our dreams. So what I want to do is take you through some examples that I've taken from clients that I've worked with on this area, so to help you spot if you are sabotaging. And then we're also going to look at what we can do if we realize, oh my God, you're right, I am sabotaging. What do I do about it? So let me take you through some of the examples, because for me, certainly when I was doing work on self-sabotage, it wasn't like I started off from like, oh, I'm self-sabotaging, I need to find out about it. I was much more in a place of like, why do I always end up in a dodgy relationship? Or why do I always get really excited about a new job and then after 6 months really not want to continue in that job? So I hadn't even heard of self-sabotage. So it may be that you're aware of the phrase, but you may not know how it's showing up in your life, or it may be that you've begun to think, maybe I am sabotaging, but I don't really know how. So the first thing is to understand is that it is unconscious in many cases. We don't actively go around saying, I'm going to ruin my chance of a successful career, or I'm going to ruin any opportunity for meeting a partner and having a loving relationship. So a lot of it is unconscious. So let me give you a couple of examples. A really common one is that we take action from a place of panic. So we're really stressed about something. We're like, oh my God, I've got to get this done. I've got to get a job application done, or I've got to write a script for a YouTube video. I've got to get it done, or I've got to get this submission for a short story competition. I've got to get it done really quickly. So leaving something until the last minute so that we have to be really panicked to then get it done is a very effective way of sabotaging the results. Because if we're taking action from a place of panic, we're not seeing the full picture, we're not connecting to all our creative gifts, we're really in a stress state, and so we're not going to be doing our best work. People aren't going to see the best version of us. So taking action from a place of panic or leaving things until the last minute, and a sort of stepsister or stepbrother to this is not getting enough sleep. So we sabotage the way that we feel by not getting enough sleep, and so we're not doing our best work. Now, this is all very effective because what it means is that we actually don't end up feeling as bad. Because if we don't get the job, we can be like, well, I didn't get enough sleep, I was really tired, they didn't get to see the best me. Or if we send off for a competition, for a writing competition, and we don't get it, we can think, well, I was quite rushed. I didn't have a chance to fully work that short story and get it as good as I wanted. So it's a way of protecting ourselves. So we're basically sabotaging by imagining that we're going to get rejected and then doing a slightly shoddy piece of work that has a reason. We didn't get enough sleep, we were panicked, we didn't have enough time, but therefore we sabotage our chance of success. So another really common area that I've noticed with my clients is actually not eating right. So again, if we're not eating right and also not exercising right, we're not feeling great within ourselves. We're maybe feeling slightly under par, we're not feeling the energy that we want to feel, and again that impacts the kind of action that we take. And so we end up taking naps in the afternoon, we end up not eating the right food and then having a slump or losing our energy, or feeling manic and then feeling really sluggish. And so all of these things are impacting the way that we feel, but we don't have to blame ourselves. So again, not eating right, not taking the right exercise is a really effective way of sabotaging. Now, I'm using that word effective, and this is because when I'm working with a client, especially if we're working around the area of self-sabotage, or it might be that we're working around the area of imposter syndrome, I want for my client to understand that I have a huge amount of respect for the way that they are currently working. And it's so important because we can get very down on ourselves. We can be like, I just hate myself because I'm sabotaging. But actually, if you are sabotaging, you're taking very effective action because it's working. So when you understand that, then you can understand that as soon as you learn to take different action, then that action's going to start working. So it's really important to understand that it is effective. It's effectively sabotaging. So as soon as you learn a different way of being, you're going to be effectively successful or effectively happy, whatever it is you want that goal to be. Okay, let's look at another example. Another example is maintaining a negative mood state. That's a really great way of sabotaging. Like, the world is out to get me, the world just sucks. Even things like, the weather sucks. It's just really crap. It's a really crap day, like it's miserable. I'm going to write today off. So as long as we continue to maintain a negative mood state, being down on something, blaming something, feeling negatively towards something, we're sabotaging our chance of performing at our best. We're sabotaging our chance of making the most of the day, getting a great piece of work done, having meaningful conversations. But we can blame it on the weather. We can blame it on the world. We can blame it on the political situation. And so that's a really effective way of sabotaging. And again, we might not notice it. We might be around people who are all negative about the world. And so it sort of seems normal. But in actual fact, we're denying ourselves the chance of being the best version of ourselves. So let me explain what's going on behind all of this. I've given you a few examples. What's really going on in terms of self-sabotage is that we have a wound. And what self-sabotage is doing, it's essentially validating that wound. So let me explain what I mean. Say, for example, we have a wound which is somebody laughed at us. So it may be that we stood up in class and we read something, or it may be that we stood up in class and we asked a question and we got laughed at. So that creates a wound. There's an experience from being laughed at that we didn't enjoy. So we have a sense of people think I'm funny but in a bad way. So what self-sabotage does is it continues to validate that wound, as in there's something wrong with me, I'm stupid, I'm a joke. And so we start to take action that continues to corroborate that fact. So if we continue to think that there's something wrong with us, or that we're a joke, or we don't know stuff, we're going to be like, I'm not going to get enough sleep. I'm going to be in a panic when I do things because that's true. That's a wound, and my self-sabotage is going to continue to validate that wound. So how do we start to get out of this cycle? I'm going to take you through a nice little process that is going to help you to shift from having the focus on the wound to actually being able to see the fullness of who you are. Now, just to say that you may not be aware of what that wound is at first. And this comes back to the fact that a lot of self-sabotage is unconscious. So we're not aware of what that original wound was that's causing us to want to sabotage our behavior. And it's actually okay, even if you don't remember the wound. The work that I do as a neuro-linguistic programmer, we actually don't necessarily go into the whole backstory of why someone's sabotaging. We simply look at the way that sabotage is showing up in their life and what this means that they must think or feel about themselves now, and then how we can start to create a shift or a transformation in the way that they think and feel about themselves to then achieve their dreams. So we don't need to go back into the past and dredge up all of those memories. So what we do is we start to look at the area of frustration. So it may be that you think, okay, I think I am sabotaging my career. I'm leaving things until the last minute. Or you might think, you know what, I am sabotaging my life because I'm not getting the sleep that I need. Or you might think, oh, I am sabotaging my earning potential because I'm not applying for jobs in an appropriate way. So you start to get clear on the area. That self-awareness is really key. You see where it's showing up. You see where that self-sabotage is taking place. So you start to see it. It becomes less of an unconscious thing and more of a habit that you begin to notice. And the second step is to start to work with sunlight and shadow, okay? So if we've got this original wound, I want for you to imagine that that is like a shadow that lies on the ground. So the sun is shining on you, but your body is creating a shadow. So what's real in this? Is the shadow you or are you you? So the answer's fairly easy, isn't it? Well, I'm not my shadow. The shadow is coming from me, but I'm me. The shadow's been created because of this sunlight, and the sunlight just isn't shining on that particular area. But me is the focal point. And so that's how we start to dance with beginning to step free of the wound that is causing the self-sabotage. So let's come back to one of those examples. Say you really want to create a really happy and fulfilling life, but you are not getting enough sleep. You may think to yourself, oh, I guess I'm not really valuing myself. I guess I'm not really believing that I deserve that sleep. So that's the shadow. The self that isn't worth anything, the self that doesn't deserve anything, the self that doesn't deserve to go to bed early and really benefit from sleep. So that's the shadow on the ground. So then you're like, oh, okay, well, if we come up to here, which is the me, and we start to get a sense that that's on the flip side. Light and shadow. So if the shadow doesn't deserve, on the flip side, the part of you that's in the sunshine is the part of you that does deserve, the part of you that is worth something. And here's where you start to realize that there's a whole aspect of yourself that you haven't been seeing. So it's really nice to simply work with the opposites and to start to get a sense of that sunlight shining on you. It can be really nice to just feel that warmth and that light as you start to introduce these thoughts of, I am worth it. So you're feeling that warmth, you get a sense of that light, and you think, I do deserve this. So you're waking up the part of you that is worthy, the part of you that does deserve, the part of you that has gifts and talents, the part of you that has dreams, the part of you that does deserve to be seen, the part of you that does deserve to feel success and connection. And we do a dance. We have a sense of, okay, there is that shadow. The shadow exists. Wherever light is shining, there is going to be shadow. But that isn't the full picture. So we start to flesh out that second picture. And what's really nice when we get to that point is to start to do some journaling on that. To start to journal on the part of you that does deserve success. To start to journal on the part of you that is worthy to achieve happiness. So whatever it is about the shadow that you've discovered might be to do with self-worth. It might be to do with a fear of not being good enough. So again, if that shadow on the floor is a fear of not being good enough, you're like, okay, well, if that's a fear of not being good enough, then up here, there must be a part of me that is good enough. Ooh, and maybe that feels really unfamiliar. That's how the journaling can really help. To start to understand that it isn't simply black, that there is a black and there is a white, there is a shadow and there is a light. So there is a part of you that feels good enough. So you start to journal, dear part of me that feels good enough, I didn't know you existed until today. And as soon as you open up that communication, you're opening up your mind to see the bigger picture. And as soon as you open up your mind to see the bigger picture, you become the wholeness of who you are. And that self-sabotage isn't needed anymore to fulfill the wound. What you then start to do is to take on actions that fulfill the wholeness of who you are, the part of you who is good enough, the part of you who does have beautiful creative dreams. So I hope you found this one really interesting. If you feel like you need a safe place to do this work, then here's my invitation to come and join my free community on Facebook. It's called Write No Matter What. We're a community of writers, creative entrepreneurs, creative dreamers. It's a safe space where you can really develop personally, professionally, and start to really uncover the truth of who you are. You'll find a link below. You'll be able to find out a little bit more about the community and what we offer. For example, I'm there live in the Facebook group every week. There's loads of inspirational content, loads of advice about how you can go on a really powerful journey of personal development. I'm totally here for you to enable you to create and live and earn just the way that you want. And if you like the sound of that and you haven't yet subscribed, then what are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button and make sure that you are accessing these videos and really enabling yourself to become the person that you absolutely deserve to be. I'll see you next week. Take care.